was furious. I was furious at my body. I was furious at the world. I get the impression that I'm going to die early because it is so painful and so stressful. And I had to dig down to my core and work out what my values were. Being out in nature was the first time I was like, oh, I feel it. I feel joy again. It's particularly a psychoanalytic theory that looks at, for women, that looks at stages. The maiden, the mother, and then the crone. After having my hysterectomy, I'm coming into my crone stage, and the crone is an interesting stage because it's not one that is typically seen. I realize too when I'm walking and I see women that are a little bit older, do I even notice them? Do you notice them as much as you notice a beautiful young woman or a mother? To be at a point where I feel like my family obligations are finally, I wouldn't say relieved, but I can take off in my career. I don't have as much responsibility. And then to find, actually, I don't have the career I thought I would have. And my daughter is not living in the house anymore. So it was very lonely. It was challenging emotionally and mental health wise. I don't like using the word breakdown because what is a breakdown, you know? But if you get to the point where everything in your body is saying, you can't do this anymore, you're too stressed, it's too much pain, and you say you're not going to do it, I actually think that's more of a breakthrough than a breakdown. Like it takes a strong person to say, I hate living like this. I'm not happy. I choose to be happy and not have a career. Because I have chronic pain, if I was just walking, I wouldn't go that extra bit. I need that motivation. I need that fix of another good mushroom or another group of mushrooms or a pretty mushroom. So I push myself further just in the hope that I'll find another spectacular mushroom. It feels like strong words, but I feel I was quite devastated to give up some of my identity. I think it took a lot of negotiating and finagling to be able to train as an art therapist, to be able to work with people with their creativities and expressions of their soul. So to not be able to do that anymore, I don't know if if somebody comes to you and says, what do you do? I'm like, well, I don't really know. I think I had watched the film Fantastic Fungi, so I already had my interest was piqued, and I picked up my daughter from university and went out and found these just most beautiful mushrooms. So yeah, that was it. That was the beginning, and I found out it was the only one thing I wanted to do was just be outside and look for mushrooms. People, when they get into mushrooms, become quite obsessed and heated and passionate. There was somebody that I met, and it was jokingly, but it was kind of half not jokingly, that I was on his patch. He was kind of like, are you the mushroom thief? Are you stealing my mushrooms? So every time he sees me, he's like, oh, it's a mushroom thief. You are back in my patch again. So you've got animals and you've got plants, but actually you've also got fungi. One aspect that I really am drawn to is the use of mushrooms, not only for nutritional purposes or for medicinal purposes, but for healing of the mind. Right now, I'm being prescribed these medications that are very strong and they have a big impact. And they have detrimental effects, whereas these are natural healers, not only in pain management but also in terms of depression. And they're right there and they're growing plentifully. There's something about what you're expected to do in life and what you're expected to do to be successful. I am a big believer in seeking the best existential life that you can. And I felt it in my body. I'm like, this is how it should be. You should be in forest. You should be outside. You should be in nature.